So I'd like to welcome everybody here today, and let me explain why we're here. Way back about 6 years ago when they started the Menlo Park Terrace reunions, Chucky told me, I know Chucky, we all know Chucky forever. We played in the Angels together. He was actually my father's favorite ball player. He loved Chucky Savith. My father coached the Angels. He liked Chucky Savith. He liked Vessalelli. He didn't like me so much. But he liked those two guys. He always talked about Chucky. He always talked about Russell. So at the first reunion about 6 years ago, I'm the mayor now, and Chucky says to me that way back in 1968, when his brother was killed in Vietnam, the mayor at the time promised to name a street after him in Woodbridge Township. That's a long, long time ago. Don't even know who the mayor was, but needless to say, it never happened. My guess is maybe he was one of the early ones to pass away. I'm not quite sure, but I think there's about 14 or 15 from Woodbridge Township who passed away in Vietnam. So my guess is he probably committed to it, and then so many more passed away that it just became impossible to honor the commitment. So Chucky told me the story. He said, what do you think you can do? And I said, okay, I'm the mayor now. If it ever comes up that I have a chance to name a street, I'll certainly do that. Thinking the whole time that how often does a mayor get a chance to name a street? There's not much new development back then. Usually if someone's building, they name their own streets. I didn't know if it would ever happen. So the guy from Renaissance Properties who built this Heritage at Colonia, one day he's in my office talking about the plans, and he says, by the way, Mayor, I need a street name. I said, Savith Lane. He says, wait a minute, don't you want to think about it? I said, no, it's Savith Lane. I promised Chucky that the first chance I ever got to name a street in Woodbridge Township would be after Terry Lee Savith. Let me read a little bit about him. He was born January 23rd, 1948 in Irvington, Essex County, New Jersey. Died December 2nd, 1968 at 20 years old in Quang Nam, Vietnam. Terry's the son of Franklin Savith and Pauline Savith of Metuchen, Menlo Park Terrace, enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps on March 3rd, 1967 in Newark, New Jersey. He arrived in Vietnam on August 18th, 1968, where he was assigned for duty and served with Company B, 1st Battalion, 5th Marines, 1st MARDIV, FMF. I don't know what that means. Maybe one of you guys does. I'm sorry? 1st Marine Division. Oh, MARDIV, 1st Marine Division. Got it. At the beginning of December, the battalion participated in Operation Henderson Hill, and Company B was participating in Operation Mead River in the Dodge City area of Quang Nam Province under the operational control of the 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. On December 2nd, east of the railway berm, Company B made contact with the enemy in the hamlet of Ha Nong Trong. The NVA in fortified positions opened up on the lead elements with rifle and automatic fire. Marine artillery was called in on the enemy as the enabling infantry to attack and break through the defenses. 11 men were killed in the action and several were wounded. One of the casualties was Lieutenant Corporal Terry Lee Savith, killed by hostile rifle fire. He was buried in Graceland Memorial Park in Kenilworth. As you said, Franklin and Pauline were the parents. He also had brothers, Franklin, who passed away in 1999, Donald, who passed away in 1991, Charles, Chucky, who's here with us now, a 30-year retired police officer in New Brunswick, and Michael, for 23 years, has been an active police officer in New Brunswick. So Terry attended all the Woodbridge Township schools before entering the Marines. So I cannot imagine what it's like to be Chucky and Mike or the other boys or the parents to have lost somebody in Vietnam. We all know it was a very difficult war, misguided war. A lot of the people that died, people didn't appreciate them like they should have. When the people came back, the veterans came back, they weren't treated with the respect of other wars. It was a very difficult time. I cannot imagine what it was like for Chucky and Mike to lose an older brother. Chucky was 10, Mike was 5. A 10-year-old and a 5-year-old losing a 20-year-old brother. It's unspeakable. But we're here today, I guess 48 years later, to honor the commitment that mayor made. I also want to keep in mind the others from Woodbridge Township. I don't know all the names, but there was about 14 or 15, so we should keep them in our thoughts today. But today we're getting a chance to honor that commitment and name this horseshoe here right off Inman Avenue, Savith Lane, in honor of Terry Lee Savith from Menlo Park Terrace. So it's great to be here. A couple of people I'd like to introduce: our 19th District Assemblyman Craig Coughlin, from our Town Council Debbie Meehan, who represents Colonia, and Nancy Drum, who represents Woodbridge proper. From our Board of Ed, the President, Dan Harris. And now I'd like to ask Chucky if he would come up and say a few words.
Mayor, distinguished guests, MPTers, friends, family, we'd just like to say thank you for coming out today. We appreciate what you do. We like this to serve as a tribute to remind everybody that freedom isn't free. That's all I got.
How many Menlo Park Terrace natives? Raise your hand. Awful lot. If there was a better place to grow up than Menlo Park Terrace, I don't know what it was. If you think, here's the way I look at it. You need 8 things in a neighborhood, right? You need a food store. We had the Merit, later became Food Town. Needed cleaners, we had Gorin's Cleaners. They live right across the street from me. You need, of course, a liquor store. I mean, where else would a Menlo Park Terrace native be without a liquor store? You need a luncheonette, a place to go to get a candy bar, a soda, a hamburger, or a toy, or whatever. You need a hardware store. You need a pharmacy to get your prescriptions filled. You need a barber. We had Patsy. And, of course, you need a real bar that serves pizza, and we had the White Birch. So, later Food Town, Merritt became Food Town. And of course, we had the one thing that kept us all united and kept us all together, which was the Menlo Park Terrace Little League. We all played from when we were 8 to probably 12, 13, 14, 15. A great organization, a great, terrific place to grow up. I'm really proud to be able to stand here as the mayor of Woodbridge now, as a Terrace native, and do the right thing and honor somebody from Menlo Park Terrace who gave their life serving our country. So I really thank you all for being out here. I want to thank Chucky and Mike. I do have a proclamation to present to Chuck and Mike. If you guys would come up, and maybe people can snap a few pictures. If I could present this, it's everything I said about Sabbath Street dedication. So I'd like to invite everybody back to the Island Knights of Columbus. It's on Route 27. It used to be the Rent Right when we were growing up. It's across from Garden State Auto Body, so if you're at the intersection by St. Cecilia's of Oak Tree Road and Green Street and Route 27, you take 27 toward Rahway, and it's about a quarter mile up on your left. We have free hamburgers and hot dogs, and of course it's Terrace, so we have to have free beer. We really would love to see you all come back, hang with the family, talk to everybody, reminisce, have a little mini Menlo Park Terrace reunion. So thank you everybody for coming out to honor a true American hero from Menlo Park Terrace.